see, they go straight lunge here or discharge? I'm gonna let it go either way. They usually go discharge first, then lunge second. Lunge. Yo. 10 times out of 10, lunge. Kid you not. Alright, I go straight fighter here. Oh, they went discharge. Okay. Prove me wrong. It's not 10 times out of 10. Lunge? Look, we're okay. Okay, we're not okay. Hey everyone. So I'm currently on vacation in California right now, so that's why my background looks a little different and I don't have the cats with me, unfortunately. But I decided to do a set of GBLs last night, and this was probably the most incredible run I've put on since the Skarmory double grass line when I went 26-0. And so I did 5 sets yesterday, and I went 4-1 in 3 sets, and then 5-0 in 2 other sets. So I'm showcasing all those battles for you, and also the lineup I used. And one night, this line pretty much gained me over 400 points in ELO. So the team I used is Altaria, Shadow Machamp, and Toxicroak. Now, if this line looks familiar, it's because I ran an Altaria double fighter line in Great League for multiple seasons, and that was with Metachamp instead of Shadow Machamp. And honestly, I ran this team kind of as a meme to start off, just to see how it goes, just because I finally got enough candies for Altaria for XL purposes. If you use my Great League variant of this line and you enjoyed it, then you're probably going to really like this line too. Obviously, Altaria doesn't cap out at 2500, so you want to have 100% IVs or close to it. You have to XL it all the way. Even better if you have it best buddied. I personally don't have it best buddied because I didn't get my hundo until Community Day. Shadow Machamp, you don't need to XL at all. And then for Toxicroak, you could XL it if you want to. If you have 100%, it'll power up just under 2500, or you can XL it with some XL candies to bring it closer to 2500 if you have less than perfect IVs. Personally, I've ran both before in the past, but the one I'm currently running is XL. So at max, you need 1 XL Mon for this line. You could potentially have 2. Before we get into this video, a big shout out to my patrons who've been supporting my content creation. Anytime you see these YouTube videos, most of my patrons have already known about these lines and strategies way in advance. So if you want an early advantage and heads up on these lineups, definitely check out the Patreon link down below to see the different tiers that I offer. Before I get my set of 25s, I'm going to showcase a battle between myself and my teammate Cochinomom that was hyped up on Twitter, and I did mention that I was going to include it in my next video, so here it is. So, going against Cochinomom here, I think this is one of the first few times we've ever battled in GBL, actually. So, definitely not a favorable lead for me. Shadow Machamp as a safe swap is very, very strong, especially when it has energy lead. And so, I'm going to start spamming away these cross chops. I'm okay with losing switch here, mainly because I probably won't be able to muscle through if she decides to just keep Dragon Breathing me down. And then I am just barely going to get the Sky Attack. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to it. But she does go Octazooka, so I'm going to aggressively swap to my Toxicroak here. Toxicroak with energy is really solid. I know it's going to be the G-Fizz, so if she has a Gallade in the back, or, you know, a Talonflame is not too bad, actually, with 2 shield advantage. It's really Gallade, I think that would be really tough, or Hypno, but with that energy advantage, I'll be in a good spot. So she stays in and throws another Rock Slide. I had a feeling it's probably a Rock Slide, but I wanted to shield it anyway because she really didn't want to see this Toxicroak somehow. And it's a Alolan Ninetales, so I am going to catch this Weather Ball. I actually did have a Sky Attack on this, so even if I got hit by the Weather Ball on the Toxicroak, I probably would have been okay because I could throw a Sky Attack. But yeah, now able to finish off. So, getting into the first battle of the set of 25, or these 25 sets, 5 sets of 25 battles, going against a Crobat lead. This is an interesting one. Crobat is going to charge up energy a little bit slower than Golbat, and luckily my opponent is going for Shadow Ball. I decided to shield because usually I don't shield the Poison Vein, but it was very obvious that they're past the energy for Poison Vein, so I just want to be safe. At this point, I'm going to commit to double shielding because they're probably committing to Shadow Balling at this point. So we're kind of both having similar mindsets. We both don't want to see each other's flyers in the back. So what do they have in the back? Let's see here. They're taking their time. All right, Obstagoon, that's totally fine. Both of my Mons beat it. And so I'm just going to throw out one of them right here, and then able to do a bunch of counter damage here. This is probably going to be a Leaf Storm. That's fine. Takes me out. I'm going to come in with Altaria, Dragon Breath it down. My switch timer's not up yet, but it's not a big deal. This Obstagoon can take out my Altaria. I'll still have the Toxicroak in the back. Toxicroak is going to resist all these moves except for Hyper Beam, and they just can't get to Hyper Beam fast enough. So if you're wondering, how do you deal with Charm leads? This team is terribly weak to Charm. Double Charm even worse, right? I will talk about that at the end of these battles. Just stick around and I'll tell you kind of my philosophy behind this team and why I think it's not a big deal. But another thing that's really nice about this team in Ultra League Premier is that Alolan Ninetales in Great League often is running Charm. In Ultra League, a lot of Ninetales are running Powder Snow. That actually gives a lot of play to the fighters in the back. I've run into maybe one, maybe two Alolan Ninetales with Charm. All the other ones have been Powder Snow, which means that this team has much more play against it. All right, so this is kind of a tough one. You know, these Weather Balls are going to come out pretty quick from Politoed here. And they actually shield the Sludge Bomb too, so this is kind of over at this point. Politoed is actually very bulky as well. I do get to that last Sludge Bomb, which is nice. But as you can see, it's not enough to take it out. And they had energy for another one, right? So even if I shield the Weather Ball, they would hit me with another, and then this Alolan Ninetales is way too much health. Going for a Moonblast, he's doing a little more damage than Sky Attack, but it's just a little bit too late. All right. But it's a tough lead, but you know, well, it's fine. We're not going to win every lead. Ferrothorn, not a bad matchup for Altaria, but you have two fighters in the back, so why not swap to them and draw out whatever a fighting check is, right? So it's going to be a Dragology. I'm going to go for another Rock Slide. They almost always go Aqua Tail against your fighters, so you don't really have to worry about shielding. And I able to flip switch. That is absolutely huge. Now, let's see what they have in the back. Jellicent. Winning switch here was perfect because Altaria has a great matchup against Jellicent. If they're running Ice Beam, life is a little bit trickier, but clearly they're not because we went straight Bubble Beam here. I don't shield it anyway, to be honest, because if they do throw the Ice Beam, you have time to shield their future attacks. They are very unlikely to bait you with a Bubble Beam after throwing the Ice Beam. Most Ice Beam Jellicents are running Ice Beam with Shadow Ball. Alright, so against Ferrothorn now, really solid matchup. You could tank a Flash Cannon here. Again, like I mentioned, my Toxic is an XL variant, so it is a little bit bulkier, but the regular variant should be able to as well. Alright, and my opponent is going to concede there. Dragonite leads. These leads are absolutely my favorite. It seems kind of a weird situation, and you do technically lose to this matchup in most well, you could win it in some ways depending on shielding. My opponent actually doesn't shield there, which is interesting. So they come in Ninetales, right? So I'm going to quickly come in to Machamp here. I'm going to go straight for a hard-hitting Rock Slide. If they don't shield this, they'll be in trouble. So they actually do shield. Now I'm in a good spot because I have this Altaria here. I'm actually going to tank this move. I have a move ready. I'm not going to throw it. Main reason is I want energy on my Toxic. I don't want them to farm extra. Now this is a huge difference now. Now I'm in a really good spot. I do have to watch out for potentially Dazzling Gleam here. I do shield the Weather Ball. I'm just going to go straight Sludge Bomb. I think this is a safe play because if I miss bait, then I lose it. They got pretty quick to this. I was a little nervous it was going to be Side Shock, but fortunately they just only had a Weather Ball, and now I'm going to go Sludge Bomb. I think they realized that they had to throw it at that point anyway. Alright, Snorlax. So, again, kind of a neutral matchup, but you want to draw out their anti-fighter. That's what your Altaria is here for. Yeah. These are battles all in a row as well. If you want to take a look at the screenshots of the names, they do line up with the screenshots I included in the beginning of the video. Alright, so not a terrible matchup here. I would like to see that Nidoqueen against my Toxic instead. I'm going to get Poison Fanged here quite a bit, but that's fine. I'm going to be debuffed. Again, aggressively swapping Toxicroak. I'm not going to win switch anyway. Might as well get a slight energy lead. Now I'm in a good spot. Alright, because Toxicroak can beat both Machamp and Snorlax. These resisted counters are really nice too, so that I'm not really taking too much chip damage. Obviously, Shadow Machamp is no joke, so you do have to watch out for it. I'm going to get close here, but I'm going to counter all the way down. And I go for Sludge Bomb here. Just going for the hard-hitting move, I guess. And do I get to another one? I do get to another one. This is absolutely huge. They pretty much have to throw because they're going to lose the counter soon. They do throw, but then I have the Altaria with plenty of health left over to Dragon Breath this thing down. I actually get the Sky Attack too. People aren't really ready for double fighters, right? Especially in Ultra League. I haven't really seen too much of it. Yeah. Again, you have a lot of play here against a lot of things. Toxic itself is kind of volatile because if you get a matchup against a Gallade, it's kind of trouble. But outside Gallade, you have a decent amount of matchups too. Dragonite is a little bit tougher. Talonflame a little bit tougher too. We have a lot of checks to it. Talonflame, Machamp, and Altaria can beat. Dragonite, similar kind of matchup. But yeah, like I was saying before, why I like the Dragonite leads a lot is that the Dragonite backlines are almost always weak to double fighters in the back. I haven't seen a single matchup where I struggle against it. So once you get rid of that Dragonite, your backline can just steamroll in most situations. Alright, Roserade, I am shielding here because I don't actually know the counts for Poison Jab to Dazzling Gleam, but I was a little worried if that Dazzling Gleam might be in trouble. But also this Altaria has such a good matchup here, so why not just shield it at this point? There's going to be another Weather Ball. It's going to be totally fine. I think I probably come in oh no, they come in Swampert here. That's a good swap by them to take out the Altaria, but now I'm going to counter down with Machamp and then throw a move on the Roserade. They are going to concede right there. Alright, this is kind of an interesting one. My opponent does swap out here right away, so that's fine. Usually what I do is I try to catch a Rock Slide on my Machamp if they don't swap out themselves, but they swapped out themselves and swapped into a Jellicent, even better, and they Bubble Beam me. So I don't mind that at all, because now I'm going to Wind Switch. I'm going to be able to lock in that Machamp with my Toxicroak, so it's not going to really have much play there. And let's see what they do. I might pivot out of here, actually, if they come in with the Altaria counter. Let's see. Yeah, Abomasnow. So I'm going to swap out here. This is fine. This is fine, because now I'm ahead on energy. I'm going to be able to force shields against this Machamp. And they actually can see the match right there. They didn't even see the Toxicroak. But that's fine, too. All right, Abomasnow lead. Really, really tough. But they come in Talonflame. Talonflame swapping into Machamp with energy is never a good idea. Machamp wins this into 2 shield. So what I'm going to do is just double shield this. Most will shield these cross shops. Even if they don't, I still win into 2 shield, to my knowledge. So it's really a very safe bait, to be honest. But now that I double baited them, I'm going to go straight Rock Slide. Yeah, Talonflame is not a Machamp counter, especially with shields up. But yeah, now they come in Swampert. Even better. Chipping down the Swampert is huge, which is going to make my matchup with Toxicroak versus it later much better. So they're going to go Hydro Cannon me, and I expect them to swap out here. They're going to hit me with probably double Weather Balls at this point, which is fine. I could tank 2, so you're going to see right here. Obviously, again, mine's the XL, so maybe the non-XL cannot. But I like the XL, and it's not the most expensive XL. I only had like 140 something XL candies. I think it only cost me 130 something. So not something that you need 296 for or an outrageous number. So hopefully a little bit doable if you've been catching your Crogunks in the wild. All right, this is an interesting one. I almost never shield anymore because I've gotten baited with Weather Ball so many times. In fact, I don't even know if this thing has Blizzard. I do shield the second one. But I've tried actually catching a Blizzard on my Machamp a couple times. But the issue is they always end up still throwing Weather Ball. So it's kind of a waste because then they just double Weather Ball you and you're in a really bad spot with Machamp after that, right? And a lot of times their backline is kind of weak to Machamp too. So anyway, this Muck is coming in here. This is really good because I get rid of one of the best matchups for Politoed right here. Machamp is not too bad against it. And I'm able to land the Sludge Bomb here. And they have a Scavalier. Ooh, this is going to be a really rough time. They pretty much don't really have a strong check at all to Altaria. I pivot out of there just so they don't farm me too much. And I'm going to just throw back-to-back side attacks here to take out this Megacorn. FP6. Good to see that he's battling. I know he's still recovering from surgery, but good to see that he's still able to battle and stuff. Knew this was going to be a tough one for sure. We always have really close battles. So he swaps out right away with the Politoed, which means that he probably doesn't have Blizzard on his. Which is good and bad, right? At least I don't have to worry about the bait game. Again, I'm trying to mimic that Muck and Toxicroak matchup from last match, but he actually plays it much better and actually simultaneously KOs my Toxicroak. So this is kind of tricky. I come in Machamp here. Luckily, I call the switch in correct. I figure it's probably Altaria counter, but it was a safe switch in because Machamp again is still pretty solid against Politoed too. So that would have been a close one though if he actually came in Politoed. Alright, so right here, catching a Rock Slide here. This is Lordly Haddock, who I actually didn't realize at the time was dual streaming with Arrow. One of my patrons tagged me afterward, after they saw the match happen. Actually, no, sorry. I missed the name. This is a different matchup. Ignore what I said. That is spoilers to come in the future. This is a completely different matchup, actually. Alright, so similar team comp, which is why I got confused for half a second. I missed the name when the name came up because I was still talking about the FP6 battle. But anyway, This is a really good spot for me to be in. This Toxicroak beats the entire back line. Honestly, the Toxicroak beats the entire line. It beats Muck, it beats Machamp, it beats Snorlax. Obviously, by itself, it cannot do all of that, but it has play against the entire line, which makes me feel very, very comfortable. I do survive a Cross Chop or a Rock Slide here, so it's not a big deal. I'm going to drop another Mud Bomb here, and then, yeah, sort of counter down. Oh, no, I have a Sky Attack ready. So yeah, let's look forward to the Lordly Haddock battle, because that's going to be a good one down the road. All right, G-Fisk, not a great lead, obviously. Charmer, a lot of people probably thinking about, what about Charmers, right? Well, here's a Charmer, and let me tell you, it's not going to be easy. Luckily, they don't shield that Rock Slide. I'm not going to shield this potential Meteor Mash. If it's Moonblast, you know, so be it. Because I need my Toxicroak for the G-Fist. This Altaria has no play, pretty much. Unfortunately, my mistake was coming in so quickly there. I should have waited this out Switch Timer, so that way they can't get a little extra farm on their Stunfisk. But unfortunately, in this specific scenario, I'm in a tough spot. If this was like, I don't know, like Empoleon or Machamp, even those matchups would be a little bit tough on even shields with 2 full health Pokemon. Toxicroak can only do so much. I would need like an Obstagoon, I think. That would probably be my only win con. Even Scrafty would be kind of rough. But this is just gonna, yeah, they're just gonna do way too much damage here. Something to note about the G-Fist versus Toxicroak matchup is in the 1 shields. If G-Fist has a 1 Mudshot energy lead, it's going to win. If they bait you with a Rock Slide, because they end up surviving your Mud Bomb at that situation and getting to that Earthquake. Just a 1 Mudshot lead. On even shields is different, but you don't really start off even shields or G-Fist with this lineup, so there's something to keep in mind. If they bait you with that Rock Slide, you still lose in 1 shields, which is quite wild. But yeah, Ultra League G-Fist is very strong. So it's just something to note. Sometimes you might just have to no shield and hope they're going Rock Slide there. Because I think in Great League, the safe play is just a shield anyway on 1 shields, right? Anyway, so Jellicent lead, very solid for the most part. This person is going straight Shadow Ball. I'm going to let this go. Now, Machamp with energy is no joke. So I'm going to counter all this down. There's some lag there, so I'm going to shield. Unfortunately, it's Bubble Beam, because it was hard for me to keep track of counts at that point. But they come in Talonflame, and they're hoping to potentially catch. Unfortunately, they weren't able to. So now I have 2 Rock Slides stacked up. 2 Rock Slides stacked up. That's all I need, because they have a shield, right? So I am going to... I had a chance to beat this Ferrothorn, but my fear is that they just farm up to a Brave Bird, drop the Brave Bird on my Machamp, and then I'm done. So I'm actually going to let them take me out here. And then get the counter through, because counter's a 2-turn move versus the 3-turn Bullet Seed. They threw an Incinerate, which means that they didn't CMP. Which means now if they CMP'd, you know, Machamp will still win. So that was a kind of a close one, but kind of had to maneuver a little bit after getting baited with the Bubble Beam right there. Gliscor, definitely something you don't really see much. But very strong against my backline, no doubt. So I'm going to stay in here, kind of like the Crobat matchup, and just stay in and just... you know, wear them down. Altaria does actually quite well here because those Night Slashes just don't hurt as much. Something to note about Altaria in this matchup is that, or in Ultra League in general, is it's not nearly as bulky as Altaria in Great League. It's not that it's not bulky, it's just that compared to the bulkiest mons in Ultra League, it does struggle a little bit more. So my opponent here does come in with a Venusaur here. I'm going to just shield and counter down. They didn't go for my baits, and that's fine. Let's see what they have in the back. So speaking of Galvantula, so this is actually kind of nice that I'm able to still get a move here and burn one of their shields. It's kind of safe to go for that route, and I'm going to come with Toxicroak here. Hope they threw a lunge, because they know my Altaria is quite low, and they do lunge. It's perfect. Lunge is, I believe, double resisted because the poison and fighting type, so it's going to do very little. My opponent doesn't shield correctly, knowing that it's just going to be Mud Bomb. By this point, I know I can just counter down, or Dragon Breath down. All right, Roserade. Roserades are pretty common these days after that first person that hit Legend used a Roserade lead team. But for this team, it's great. So definitely something to watch out for. I get to 2 Sky Attacks, but I think they swapped here. They did swap to Umbreon. That's actually fine. Now I'm going to farm up a bunch of energy, and I believe Machamp should win CMP versus Roserade. So what I'm going to do is stack up the 2 moves here, and then throw the Cross Chop. They're already down a shield, so I don't know if they're willing to commit a second shield or not. I'm going to just spam the Cross Chop. Oh, I guess no. Roserade does win CMP there. So I guess I shield anyway. I'm cool with spending my first shield, because now Machamp, again, with energy, is just so nice, and I don't want to let a lot of that residual energy go. And they shield the cross chop, which is really solid. Honestly, it's probably a good shield. That's probably going to do the most damage out of everything I have remaining. They don't know that, but it's what it is. I'm going to let this Hydro Cannon go. They had to throw another Hydro Cannon for there to even be a chance. At this point, I am going to shield because I'm almost at Sky Attack, and just finish this off with the Sky Attack right there. Yep. Finish off against Roserade. Alright, here we go. Lorelei Haddock. I actually didn't recognize his in-game name. I don't know if it's alt or I don't think I've ever played him before, actually, so I didn't recognize that first. But again, if you could catch that Rock Slide on your Machamp, even better, because it's not the cleanest matchup against Altaria. And able to go straight counter down. I think he tried to farm me down, but unfortunately it didn't pay off there. Now we got called a 50-50 there. Unfortunately, he does call correctly here. Swampert is going to do quite well against my Altaria, but the Machamp is not going to do that great against my Altaria with energy. So I am going to just farm up to 2 Sky Attacks. So even if he decides to go to Machamp, I'll have a lot of play there in drawing the shields. Actually doesn't shield. So now I'm going to go a Sky Attack again, grab that last shield. At this point, again, Toxic is such a good matchup against Machamp. I'm okay if he takes out my Altaria. Actually doesn't take out the Altaria, and I drop another Sky Attack, and forcing the second shield. Now I can just counter down all the way, and I still have a shield, and one Mud Bomb should do it. Even Sludge Bomb is fine, but I didn't really feel like BMing right there. Yeah, I'm able to take out the Swampert. Alright, Skarmory lead. Kind of a tough one. Again, Altaria in Ultra League is bulky, but not as bulky as it is in Great League. The Great League matchup versus Skarmory is a little bit better for Altaria, but you're just missing a few more levels that, other things have. Actually, Skarmory does also similarly power up to under 2500, but I think Altaria is still a little bit lower. And mine is not best buddied. So matchup might be a little bit different if it was with that low 51. But again, I'm okay with it going down. Machamp with energy, again, is really solid. And people love bringing their waters into Machamp. What I mean with waters is like the Mudshot users like Swampert and Politoed. And it's perfect because I don't want to see that with the Machamp, with the Toxicroak. So even when I lose switch advantage, I can still usually get the matchup I want. Now, in this situation, though, I knew they were going to outpace me because they were up a shield. So I have to catch a Hydro Cannon on the Swampert. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to let him take me out. But now I can at least get rid of the Machamp. And there's actually a Scrafty in the back. This is good in most situations, but I'm actually very low on health. And unfortunately, this Power Punch and a counter is probably going to take me out. And that's exactly what happens. So really well played by my opponent there, despite having Scrafty in the back against 2 fighters. Kind of had to do what I had to do to maneuver around, but unfortunately couldn't cut it. But, again, one of the few losses on the day. I can't complain about a loss like that. Alright, Dragonite lead again. Most will shield that Sky Attack, unlike the first one I showed earlier, but this is fine. They take me out, come with Machamp. Watch the backline. Guarantee you the backline is going to struggle, right? Again, they come in Swampert. Makes my life a lot easier, right? I lose Switch, but I still get the matchup I want, and I have an energy lead. So, what more can I ask for, right? And I'm going to take they actually, very smart play by them going Earthquake there, because they know that, what do you call it? A Hydro Cannon won't be enough to take it out. This Berserker actually has Iron Head. Absolutely wild. But I was going to shield either way because I figured it was going to be close combat or foul play. But Iron Head, you do survive as well. And now I could just counter down the Swampert. Another Shadow Dragonite lead. Let's see if it plays out like how I predicted. Honestly, these Shadow Dragonites or Dragonites in general gave me a lot of elo on the night by themselves. I think I've lost against one Dragonite lead when using this team. This opponent actually tried to farm me down actually because they should be able to get to it. But I actually swap out here. Again, super weak to the backline. 2 mons that are weak to fighters. I swap out there because I didn't want the Empoleon to farm too much energy here. And they actually go Aerial Ace. I am going to throw this Cross Chop. I lost count a little bit and maybe could have farmed down. Yeah, they are going to throw the move right here. And now I come in with the Toxicroak. I know I survive 1 Drill Peck, so I'm just going to counter down all the way. Alright, so Obstagoon lead. Obstagoon Double Charmer is brutal, but I actually haven't run into any this season just because there's so many Talonflames and Poison types these days. So what I do is I stay in long enough for them to throw, then I swap out. So I have a little bit of energy on my Altaria. Here comes the Charmer though. This is not going to be fun. Luckily, they did not shield the Rock Slide. So I have some play. But again, Charmers are really rough for this team. I'm going to get to this Mud Bomb so I could force a shield right here. That's actually not bad because I don't mind grabbing shield down. They go Flamethrower. I definitely have the shield up, but now I get a little bit of entry. I do take a lot of damage in the process. Actually, it's a Talonflame. I probably should have swapped out a little earlier. That was my bad. But I'm going to go straight for the Moonblast here. Let's see if we grab a shield. If I grab a shield here, that's huge. If I don't, then I have some play because now I can match the Altaria up against the Talonflame. So they don't shield. Smart play by them not to shield, to be honest, because they know I have some energy on Toxstroke, and the Altaria is still kind of a pain. I'm not going to shield the Flame Charge. They pretty much have to go Flame Charge. If they debuff themselves way too early with Brave Bird, it just puts them in a really tough spot. Now I'm in a tough spot right here. Next Flame Charge is going to take me out, so I do throw the Mud Bomb. What you saw there is Incinerate go through, which means they didn't CMP, which means if we CMP now, I win it with the Mud Bomb. So double Mud Bomb, able to take it out. So really close one. I think really well played my opponent. But again, even with the Charm in the back, you got some play. You know, you got some play. I wasn't able to grab a single shield with the Machamp, but still was able to kind of close it out with the Toxstroke. All right, again, another Shadow Dragonite lead. For some reason, they let it go as well. That's fine. And then here we go. Bring in the Mud Boy for my Machamp. Toxstroke is going to have a much better matchup against than Poleon. I'm not going to shield the Hydro Cannon. Like I said before, you do survive a Hydro Cannon. Maybe from the Shadow you don't. But able to do some more chip damage here. I'm going to survive this Hydro Cannon, so I'm going to come in right here with my Altaria. If they have Sludge Wave for some reason, no big deal. Again, I come in and get a slight energy lead. I'm going to shield this Empoleon, and then I'm going to just count down, but they concede right there. All right, Venusaur lead. Don't see these super often, or at least not on the night, but it's all good. They come in Shadow Gallade. Unfortunately, they got a Confusion through, it looked like, but that's all good. I am going to Dragon Breath this down. Probably should shield. Yeah, they throw Leaf Blade. They throw another move here. Close combat. Luckily, we didn't CMP there, so I'm going to finish off with Energy. I doubt they come in Venusaur, so I got to be careful what they come in with. It's going to be Empoleon. So now, Empoleon, obviously with shields down, is a little rough for my fighters, but I have some play. Machamp probably can't tank the Drill Peck like Toxstroke could, but I figure they're going to swap out here just so their Venusaur has some play. I aggressively swapped to Altaria just to snipe this down, but then I thought about it. Wait. And I stop attacking. Because if I take this out, then Empoleon just farms me down with Waterfalls. I'd rather farm down the Venusaur. Luckily, the Sky Attack was not able to take out the Venusaur. Great Ultra League bulk is kind of nice in that regard. But if I actually continue Dragon Breathing down, which I could have, I would have lost that, right? Going against Michael from Niantic here. Definitely a tough battler too, so I knew this was going to be a good match. So getting ready to throw the Sky Attack, you want to CMP the Sky Attack on their Brave Bird, right? I think most people don't really go Brave Bird. Altaria could survive it, but if they do go Brave Bird, you at least force a CMP to force him to shield the Sky Attack, right? By this point, he's going straight Sky Attack, like most Skarmory users should, and like how we saw earlier, Skarmory is going to outpace Altaria here, unless I want double shield. He actually swaps in Obstagoon there. Really interesting. I'm not going to shield this, right? But I have a Toxstroke in the back. All this energy on Machamp going to be really good. Now he's still stuck in this matchup, so he can't swap out here. So he has to let the Skarmory go down. It's a Scrafty. Wow, this is unfortunately a really tough team comp for him because double fighters in the back against a Scrafty and Obstagoon is definitely going to be a really, really tough matchup for him. I'm going to go straight for the Sludge Bomb right here and take it out. But yeah, you definitely don't want to see the Skarmory with the fighters. Machamp is not terrible against it, just because it's doing neutral with all of his charge moves, but yeah, still makes it tough. All right, never shield the first one, even as Ice Beam. It is Ice Beam, so we finally see our first Ice Beam Jellicent on the day, and like I said before, right, you still have time to shield. They're not going to throw a Bubble Beam here because they don't have Bubble Beam and Ice Beam, so they have to throw their big hitting move, which is Shadow Ball. I don't know why they revealed both moves right away, but I mean, I guess they figured. I knew. So at this point, I come in with Champ to try to counter down Jellicent. What am I thinking? I don't know. It's a Jellicent, right? But I'm going to go for the bait here to hopefully grab a shield, and then now I do have the Rock Slide. I probably could just go on double Rock Slide, but I don't know. I just went for the bait. I think I would have gotten to it just in time. Now they're locked in just like how Michael was locked in to that last matchup because their Pokemon that swapped in got taken out before the timer's up. Now I swap to my Toxstroke here and my opponent is going to concede. All right, G-Fist lead. We've seen a few of these before. It really depends on their safe swap. It's going to be a Shadow Venusaur. So I'm going to drop the Rock Slide here. They shield. I don't really want to see the Shadow Venusaur down the road to even on my Altaria, so I'm going to double shield. Let's see, shield once. Mass shields. Let's see if they double shield. They double shield. Interesting. So I'm going to let this go at this point. There's no point in continuing to shield. I'm going to Dragon Breath. Now, after they throw this move, I'm going to Toxic Throw. Get that energy lead, right? That's huge. I know they don't get to move in time. Now they have the Machamp. Even better now, because now I have a Pokemon that can take out both the Machamp and the G-Fist. I have an energy lead and a shield advantage, right? You always want to maneuver the littlest advantages you can get with energy whenever possible, especially when you don't win lead, right? Even when you win lead in counter swap, because my opponent did, right? But if you don't play a certain way, then that's where you could end up losing certain matchups. All right, so I do end up ending on a 5-0 streak, climbing up to 2895 on the day. I started my ELO in the 2500s. I wish I had a clean screenshot of what it was at, but you could do the math, right? 4 4-1 sets and 2 5-0s. A 5-0 at the range I was at to end off, yeah, it shot me way through the roof. I gained easily over 400 ELO points, maybe even more than that. So people are probably thinking, what do you do about charm leads? Don't you always lose to charm leads, right? Lordly Hadak and Arrow actually talked about this as well, so I'll show you a clip of what they said too.
Did you beat Caleb?
No.
He went 22-3 today.
Altaria double fighter.
Charm? What?
Yeah.
It's not charm.
Literally a charm lead. What does he do?
Yeah, he has no play.
Because he has to bring in Toxicroak. And at that moment, if you have any other better counter answer, like a Swampert, maybe, you just be like, oh, okay, and just throw in Swampert. Then you double shield, and then your Charmer just fucking wrecks the other two.
You know, here's the thing. The two of them are absolutely right. I will lose to charm leads. But here's my philosophy on that concept. The fact that they're confused and that everyone watching, or most people watching, are confused at like, why would I use a team that's so weak to charm leads? It doesn't mean there's no play against charms at all, right? I actually did beat a few charms in the back, but we didn't see any lead. And all the ones I've seen in the lead, when using this team, I do lose. But here's the thing, because people think about that and are baffled by my decision, that means either one of two things. Either one, there's someone that uses a charm lead, and that's fine, right? Because they understand that's a win con for them. That's an easy win for them, actually. Or two, there's someone that either runs a charm lead counter or a team with two potential checks to charm in the back, so that even if they run into a charm lead, they still have matchups against it. Now, why do I say all this? I say this because what that means is that running a charm lead in this meta doesn't mean that you're going to have the easiest time, because other people are going to see that and they're either going to have their own charm in the lead, so you have a mirror, or they're going to have a charm counter in the lead, or two charm checks in the back. What that means is that the majority of people are running teams that are intentionally meant to check the biggest weakness to my line, which means that not everyone's going to run charm leads. But also more importantly, people that aren't running charm leads, like the ones with charm checks in the back, are usually weak to my team. Obviously, it's a gamble I take when running this team, but as you can see, you're not going to run to charm leads all day long in 25 battles in a day. But what I did is create a team that is purposely very unbalanced and weak to a certain thing in the meta, but super strong against the majority of the meta as a result. I don't care if I auto lose 10%, 15% of my battles, if it means that I have a very strong chance of winning 50+% of my battles, and then also a very likelihood of winning the remaining 15 or so percent to 25% of my battles. I actually didn't really do the math right there. I'm sure I'm missing some percentages, but you all hopefully get my gist. So that's my personal philosophy on it. It's not for everyone. I know some people like to play more balanced lines. They're easier to use, and that's all good. You either play the meta or you read the meta and play against it. And I'd rather play against the meta all day long, because in my opinion, I feel like it makes you one step ahead of the curve, but I could be wrong. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video. maybe after this video you decide to try the line, everyone's running Charm, and that is how it is, you know, and then people are going to run anti-Charm, and then this team is eventually going to be back to being useful again. Obviously, these are only 25 battles that I did. I've done hundreds of battles with this line already. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time to include all this in videos. If you want to see additional matchups and early advanced gameplay of my lines, you definitely have to sign up to my Patreon to see that stuff. So if that's of interest to you, feel free to sign up in the link down below. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like and share, subscribe for future content, hit that notification bell to get alerted right when I post a new video, and I'll see y'all next time.